The Miami Marlins have released a statement, and here it is. The Miami Marlins organization is devastated by the tragic loss of José Fernández. Our thoughts and prayers are with his family at this very difficult time. Today's game against the Atlanta Braves has been canceled. As we're now joined by Buster Olney, who, again, just moments ago confirmed multiple reports that Miami Marlins pitcher José Fernández has been killed in a boating accident which happened in the early hours on Sunday. Buster, thank you for being with us. What more can you tell us about this terrible tragedy?
I don't know any details about the tragedy itself, Hannah, but I will echo what Dan Le Batard said, that this news is just overwhelming, because in the time I've covered baseball, I've never met anyone who extracted more joy, more passion out of what he did than José Fernández. I remember talking with him about when he first came to the United States and going to high school in the Tampa area, and he was telling me about trying to learn English and what a challenge that was, and yet he made up his mind. This was something that he was going to do. When you watched him pitch, he loved it so much. He had so much emotion. And then this year when we had that game at Fort Bragg, when the Braves played the Marlins, as the national anthem was being played, Jose had his camera, and there were helicopters going overhead at Fort Bragg. And when that was over, he was so excited about that. And he came up to me, he goes, "Poppy, look at this video." And I asked him, I said, "Hey, can you send that to me? I would love to post it." And he said, "I don't know how to do email. Here, Poppy, take my phone. You do it." And that's where those images of Jose catching himself as the national anthem is being finished, and just, that day, embracing that moment with all those soldiers at Fort Bragg, and, seeing a flag from the 82nd Airborne being held out by one soldier to autograph. He took that flag and he ran into the Marlins dugout. He got every player and every coach to sign. That was his personality. We just saw this incident just 10 days ago or so when they were playing the Atlanta Braves, and there was brushback situations going back and forth, and a pitch was thrown up and into José Fernández, and as some of the Braves were upset with him, he said, no, I understand. Just don't hit me in the head. Essentially, you can hit me in the body. He had such a great personality and loved everything that he did and everything that he experienced here in the United States.
This news, as Dan Le Batard said, really almost seems surreal. You hear it and you say, well, surely it can't be. But again, the reports are that José Fernández was killed in a boating accident. And Dan just talked about him as a 24-year-old, having defected from Cuba back in '07 and being such a towering figure in the Cuban-American community. And for baseball fans, overall, what they saw from him in terms of his talent and what he brought to the game, because he had so come into his own, such a dominant figure. Can you explain what he meant in a broader sense to the sport of baseball?
Well, Dan's exactly right in terms of what he represented to the Marlins and what he represented to the community of Miami. Within baseball circles, he was viewed as one of the preeminent pitchers who was still early in his career. When we have conversations about Clayton Kershaw maybe being the best pitcher in baseball, José Fernández was right there. And once he came back from Tommy John surgery and he was rediscovering his greatness, this year that seemed to blossom again. And I know from talking with executives around baseball, he was eligible to be a free agent in 2 years, and they were excited to have him, not only because of what a great pitcher that he was, but also the fact that he seemed to be one of those players who would lift his teammates with his emotion, with his excitement, with his joy when he was out on the mound, much the way that you'd always hear stories about Pedro Martinez, because of his level of confidence and because of his ability and because of his emotion. It was like other teammates really drew off of him.
Again, Buster, we want to thank you for joining us with this absolutely shocking news. And it's sad to even consider this question at this point for a young man that was just 24 years old and had made such an impact in a short time. But how, in the end, do you think he will be remembered as a figure in this sport?
As a figure of tragedy, as someone we're going to talk about for many years, because not only what was lost in the baseball field, which was so secondary, but what was lost in him as a person and all the people that he won't be able to affect anymore, and the way that he always did, Tana.
Again, the team, Buster, the Miami Marlins organization is saying that they are absolutely devastated. And today's game against the Atlanta Braves has been canceled. What does this mean? We've talked a lot about the fans. We've talked a lot about the sport of baseball, but for the Miami Marlins franchise in particular.
It's devastating. Again, not only the baseball is secondary, but he was such an important figure for this franchise going forward. He was a leader on this team. But you know, for the players in that clubhouse, how unbelievable this is going to be. I'm sure, you know, they, like the rest of us, when you first hear the news, as you said, you're hoping, no, that can't be true. No, there's no possible way that can be true. Well, it is true. And, you know, this situation reminds me of that day here at Wrigley Field when Joe Girardi went to the microphone and had to announce to the crowd that Darryl Kyle had passed away, a pitcher with the St. Louis Cardinals at that time, and that's why you can understand why the Marlins and the Braves, you know, decided to cancel this game, because no one would want to play after this news.
Buster Olney, thank you so much for your thoughts and your perspective this morning on such a very, very sad and shocking story. Again, the Miami Marlins, with this statement, the Miami Marlins organization is devastated by the tragic loss of José Fernández. Our thoughts and prayers are with his family at this very difficult time. And today's game against the Atlanta Braves has been canceled.